Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be on for the next hour. If you have a question, please press 00 on the keypad on your phone, 0 if you have a question. We're always trying to update our email list and get out to as many people as possible. So if you wouldn't mind pressing 7 on the keypad on your phone, that's how you get on the email list. We need your email address for that. So I'm going to say this a couple more times because this call's going to dial a little bit slower tonight just because there's so much traffic in the system. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to be on for the next hour. And again, if you have a question, we see some people are already coming up with questions, please press 00 on the keypad on your phone, 0 if you have a question, and press 7 on the keypad on your phone if you wouldn't mind so we can get your email address. Now, there's all sorts of topics to talk about tonight, and nothing is off base. Certainly the China situation, they should be held accountable. We'd like to take some questions on that. There are some military clinics in the area being closed down. There might be some questions that come in for that. Obviously, COVID-19 and how people can get tested, that could be a question that can be going and stuff like that. And, of course, always questions about the economy. So if you have questions even related to anything like that, we'd really appreciate it. Press 00 on the keypad on your phone. We have veterans issues. We really want to talk about veterans tonight, and that is a theme. So if you have questions involving veterans, that would be fantastic. We're going to get to as many questions as we can tonight, and I'm going to say this one more time. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our telephone town hall meeting. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're going to be on for the next hour, and again, if you have a question, press 00 on the keypad on your phone. And again, we're really trying to buffer up that email list we have. We send out some. We don't send them out every day or anything, but we'd love to be able to communicate with you that way. Please press 7 on the keypad on your phone. 7 if you have an email address you can spare so we can keep you updated on matters. Now, Congressman, I know we have another guest coming on shortly. I'll let you know when he's here. And if you wouldn't mind, please start us off. And go ahead, please.
Well, thank you, Kurt. It is so good to be on the call with everybody tonight. Thank you for joining us. As I always say, so grateful that you have taken a few minutes out of your day to spend with me. I am in Washington this week. I'm in my congressional office here, and it has been a long day. I was just kind of commiserating with my staff about how tired I am. But I always get excited and get juice from being able to spend some time with you, my constituents. And so thank you for joining on the call with us tonight. We are going to be chatting about some COVID-19 issues, and I've asked Congressman Gus Bilirakis to be on the call with us, and hopefully he'll be joining us in just a moment. Asked him to join because, as many of you may know, he has been a stalwart proponent and a real fighter for veterans, on behalf of veterans, for many years since he's been in Congress. And so I'm not sure if he's on the call with us yet, Kurt.
I'm on the call, Ross. It really is an honor to be on the call. And,
well, thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate it, Congressman Bilarakis. Thank you for spending some time with us and with our constituents. I just want to briefly introduce you, if I can, to the folks on the call, and then I'll let you make a few opening statements. But I was just telling some constituents about kind of what we were doing here in D.C. This week. We actually yesterday voted on what we call the NDAA, or National Defense Authorization Act, which is the bill that authorizes funding and sets policy for our military services all around the world here in the States. So it's an important week this week, and some other stuff going on today and the rest of the week. But in any event, so good to be with you all. Congressman Bilarakis is a Republican. He's from Palm Harbor. He represents Florida's 12th congressional district, which includes all of Pasco and northern parts of Pinellas and Hillsborough counties. He was first elected to Congress on November the 7th, 2006. He serves on the Energy and Commerce Committee and the Veterans Affairs Committee. He is the ranking member of the VA Economic Opportunities Subcommittee, and he's also a member of the VA Disability Assistance and Memorial Affairs Health Subcommittee and Communications and Technology Subcommittee. His main priorities in Congress include controlling government spending, creating jobs for middle-class Americans, finding ways for government to operate smaller and smarter. Love that. Lowering taxes. He's also committed to strengthening Homeland Security, improving education, increasing access to quality health care, lowering the cost of prescription drugs, protecting veterans' benefits, which he has done a yeoman's job of here in Congress, ensuring the long-term viability of Social Security and Medicare, and improving emergency preparedness and response. So welcome to the call, Congressman Bilarakis. I look up to you and so grateful for your leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives, and would love to just have you say a few words to open us up as well.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, Ross. And, I used to represent quite a bit of your district in Hillsborough County, and I loved it because these are wonderful, wonderful people. But if I can't represent them, then you're the guy that can. And I know you've done an outstanding job, particularly for our veterans, being accessible, going home every weekend, and listening to our constituents. That's what we're supposed to do, listen to our constituents and continue to communicate with them and represent them well, particularly our true American heroes, our veterans. And you've done a great job with that. Again, your unwavering support for veterans by co-sponsoring dozens of bills and resolutions in support of our veterans, including the Vet Care Act, which has to do with dental care for our veterans. And, I'm the main sponsor of that particular bill. So, Ross, again, thank you for including me. Folks, I know how much he cares about our heroes. It's a top priority. It is the priority for me, the top priority, our veterans, taking care of our veterans. And I've been on the committee since I got elected in 2006, sworn in 2007. And we're doing a lot of good things using the VA, but also care in the community and giving veterans a choice as to care and making sure they get the benefits that they've earned. So I'm going to turn that over to you, Ross, because it is your program. But I will be happy to answer any questions or
well, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Gus. We're gonna open the floor here in just a second, but I actually have a quick question for you, if I can, to start. What was it that caused you to gravitate toward veterans service and veterans help issues? I know you've been doing that for a long time in Congress, but why did you gravitate toward that issue?
Well, I just, I grew up in the VFWs, the American Legions. My dad was a commander of the American Legion locally in Holiday, Florida. And I know, I appreciated everything they've done. I had disabilities growing up, so I wouldn't qualify, unfortunately, for the service. So this is my way of giving back. And, we focus on health care and mental health care, too. PTS, I don't call it PTSD because I don't feel it's a disorder. TBI, and finding alternatives to some of the medication. But in some cases, you have to take medication, but you need complementary therapies as well. So just giving the veterans the choice and guiding them in any way we possibly can. But again, my dad was a leader in the Congress. Mike Bilirakis served for 24 years, and all those 24 years, just like me, he was on the Veterans Committee, vice chairman of the committee, and I was vice chairman when we had the majority. So, again, somebody's got to take the lead up here, and I gladly have taken the lead with regard to veterans.
Well, we're fortunate to have you in a leadership position, and I'm grateful for you. And, again, thank you for being on the call tonight. Kurt, let's go ahead and open up the floor for some questions. We'll see if we can't.
We are, and by the way, if you have a question, press 00 on the keypad on your phone, and 77 on the keypad on your phone if you want to provide us your email address. Let's take Penny first. Penny, welcome to the call. Penny, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hi, how are you doing?
Very well.
I'm good. Everybody's healthy, and that's a good thing. I'm a veteran, and I live in Claremont, and I'm having one heck of a time trying to get a hold of my primary doctor. I set up to see a podiatrist, and I asked him to do it more central to where I live, more local, rather than have to drive an hour each way to get to Lake Nona. And they said, okay, we'll do that, because I told them, President Trump said that, if you want to go locally, you can. So anyway, I asked them for that. I haven't heard back from them. It's been over 2 weeks. I have tendonitis in my Achilles heel. It's killing me, and I need help. And
Congressman, what do you think about what Penny's saying, please?
Well, President Trump is correct. We passed the Choice Act, and then we made it even better for veterans to have access to care in the community, exactly for the reasons you stated, ma'am. We want to make sure that it's convenient for you. And there's no excuse for you to have to wait this long. Now, Ross, you may want to have them contact your staff. If you want us to help out, we'd be happy to. But I think she deserves the care, and she deserves the care immediately. We cut out the waiting times. This is the way it's supposed to work. So, Ross, if we can help, please don't hesitate.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that, Gus. Thank you so much. And I would just ask if you would do me a favor and call. I'm going to give you the number for our office. If you can call us, and we will intervene for you, and we will see what we can do to get you in as soon as possible. Let me give you the number. It's 863-644-8215, 863-644-8215. And if you'll call us tomorrow, and we will get engaged on that immediately, and we will see if we can clear that up for you. I'm grateful for your service. Thank you so much for what you've done. And Gus is right. We want to make sure you get in as soon as possible. It's our intention that you have those options to go get that care where you need to get it. So we'll see what we can do to help you. Thanks so much for calling in and being on the call tonight.
And Congressman Spano, your staff just informed me that if she doesn't call tomorrow, they'll call her on Friday. They have the phone number that they called her on. And so, Penny, one way or the other, this staff will help you get through. They're ready to help. So anyway, we're going to take a question next.
Thank you for your service, Penny. Go ahead.
Thanks. Our next question is from Brian, and we had some questions actually sent in to us earlier today. And his question is, what is being done about possible military clinics being closed in our area? My family and I depend on them, and I'm a veteran. Thoughts, please, Congressman Spano.
Yeah, Brian, I appreciate that question. That is a big issue. It's been a big issue for lots of the folks in our community, as you well know. On the clinic closures, there was a plan to close down the Sable Clinic and also the clinic on McGill Air Force Base that provides care to family members and veterans. And so we weighed in, and I believe Gus was involved in that as well.
Yeah.
And those two clinics provide services to 30,000 residents in my district, in Florida 15. So we jumped into action. We wrote to the Secretary of Defense to keep that from happening. As of right now, we have been advised that that plan to close the clinic and the services on the base have been postponed, and so we'll continue to fight and advocate that those clinics remain open. I know for a fact that military service members and veterans, they talk, right? And in some cases, they'll even move into an area because of the service of a particular clinic.
That's true.
And I've heard that from veterans, friends of mine. And so, and this is a new clinic. The Sable Clinic is less than a year or two old. And so we've invested a lot of money in this clinic. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to shut that down at this point. So Gus and I will continue to fight to make sure that those clinics and those services remain available to you and your family. And so thank you for your service. And Gus, I don't know if you want to say anything on that.
Well, yeah, it's important that we work together, and we have been, Ross. And even though it's not in my district, these are veterans. And of course, like you said, active service personnel and their families. So again, I'll be there with you, Ross, and we're going to fight to keep those clinics open. And I know we'll be successful.
Our next question is from Jim. Jim, welcome to the call. Jim, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I belong to Vietnam Veterans of America, and a lot of our members did go to the clinic in Tampa. All they're doing right now, at least for us, is doing virtual consultation. And I can't. We need some people to be able to go there, and they're not letting us. Do you have any idea when they're going to start letting some of the veterans come there to meet with them?
That's a great question, Jim, and I don't know offhand, but I can guarantee I'll find an answer for you. If you will provide, I don't know if we have Jim's phone number or not. We do. So if it's okay with you, we will contact you. I have my staff contact you tomorrow morning. We'll see if we can get an answer for you. We will get back to you and let you know on that. I had not been apprised of the fact that they were not available to see people. I knew they were doing a lot of telemedicine. I knew that for a fact. But I didn't know that they were not seeing individuals at that clinic. So we'll find out that information for you. Gus, do you have any information on that?
I have been pressuring the VA on the federal level to open up the outpatient clinics so that people can be seen face to face. And we have made some progress. So I'll get an update to you, Ross. The next time now we talk to the VA secretary almost weekly, and I've been that's the issue that I've been focusing on right now is to open up the outpatient clinics so people can be seen one-on-one. But the virtual telehealth, I understand from veterans, they're very pleased with that as well. But there's nothing like seeing your doctor in person.
Right. Excellent. Well, thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. Thanks for your service.
Let's take Ralph next if we can. Ralph, welcome to the call. Ralph, go ahead with your question, please.
Well, I was wondering what your opinion was of the way the president is handling the coronavirus. I'm a 78-year-old retiree, and I'm very aware of the risks here. And my brother is a retired Navy officer, and his son is a commander in the Navy. So thank you for your efforts on behalf of veterans and the military, but us civilians also need protection, and we need somebody to tell the truth.
Yeah, well, thank you for your call in tonight. I appreciate you being on the call. So certainly, as you'll recall, the president was the one who was first talking about the need to close down travel from China. He took a lot of flack for that. He was the first one that suggested that we should close down travel from Europe. He took a lot of flack for that. We have more testing here in the United States than in any other country in the world that's been conducted. The president did a yeoman's job, in my opinion, of making sure that adequate PPE now is available all over the country. Remember, that was a big issue early on. Under his leadership, he was able to make sure that medical personnel around the country and facilities have that. Ventilators was a big issue, as you'll recall, early on. That is not an issue. That has been ramped up under the president's leadership. The FDA has implemented expedited protocols and rules in order to fast-track vaccines, in order to ensure that modalities and treatments are fast-tracked so that patients can get the absolute care that they need as soon as possible. There's even can't remember what it's called, a warp speed something plan to make sure that once a vaccine is approved as safe by the FDA, that these vaccines are being mass produced immediately so that people have broad access to them. That was done under the president's leadership. And so hindsight is always 20. You can always Monday morning quarterback anything that's done. But I think for the most part, the president's done a good job. He has given the governors now, right, some autonomy and flexibility to handle decisions made on a local and state level. And I think we all probably think that's a good idea. We believe that states and local municipalities and counties and governors are in a better position to know what's happening in their respective locations. And I'm of that opinion. I think the president took that track all along. That was the right thing to do. But I don't know, Gus, if you have any comments on that? Or
well, I agree, Russ. And again, the vaccine is pretty close to being available, hopefully by the end of the year. But the gentleman, has a point as far as it's very frustrating. But the president's done all he could. I know this is uncharted territory, and giving the locals, again, the governor, but even the county commission, giving them the opportunity, because every part of the United States, but we're kind of a microcosm. Florida is different. And in the northern part of Florida, we're not having a lot of problems. People are not getting infected as much. However, in South Florida, it's definitely a hot spot. We're kind of in the middle in the Tampa Bay area. But please stay safe, sir, and you're doing the right thing by staying at home if you have a pre-existing condition, and just hang in there. There are a lot of we pray every day that this go away, and I think the president is doing his part. We're doing our part. It's just that it's uncharted territory, and again, I'm pretty certain we've heard from the experts that we're going to have a vaccine very soon.
Yeah, and I'll just add one thing to that, Kurt, before we take the next question. Last week, I believe it was, there was an announcement. There was one particular vaccine that's now in phase 3 of the trial process, which is the human trial process. And so that's the first one. And so that's exciting. If, in fact, this particular vaccine proves to be effective, we could have a vaccine by early to mid-fall, which is very, very good news.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's take Rick next if we can. Rick, welcome to the call. Rick, please go ahead with your question.
Hey, God bless both of you guys. I appreciate the work that
Thank you, Rick. You too.
I'd like to first note that I am a veteran. I go to James Haley Hospital. I've got cancer. I had 2 cancer surgeries during the pandemic in March and May. I'm going through chemo right now. I'm very happy with the service I get there. James Haley is on lockdown right now. There's only like a couple clinics that are open. The oncology, urology is open. The emergency room's open. Probably a couple of minor clinics. The point I'm calling and I want to make is that the drug that I take now for the chemo, there's a worldwide shortage for that. So they take the vial now and they divide the vial up in 3. So 3 people has to be there for the treatment. They used to give the one whole vial for one person. Now they divide it up. My question is, when are we going to – I'm tired of we're appeasing the Chinese. We need to open up our pharmacies here in the United States. We don't need to be dependent on the Chinese. So my question is, what are we doing to get our pharmacies going, and we don't have to be dependent on the drugs coming out of China?
Congressman Bilarakis, do you want to take a swing at that one?
Well, I think that we've learned now, and we've made a lot of mistakes over the years, depending on China for these things. Now, we've got to do it ourselves. Look at what happens with the PPE, the personal protective equipment. We're depending on China to get this stuff. It's absolutely terrible. Now, the president is the only one that really speaks up. Putting these tariffs on China, we're normally not, we're mostly, I think Ross is too, a free trader, but it's got to be fair trade. So we have to incentivize here in the United States for these companies to stay here. Because in a lot of cases, the research is being done here. And then they go over to China, and you can't depend on China. We always used to say that we don't want any importation because it may come through Canada, but ultimately it's manufactured in China. Well, so it's not safe. But then we're finding out now that most of these drugs, at least and also the equipment, is manufactured in China. We have to stand up and keep the jobs here. And again, I think we have the best quality health care. in the world. But again, there are a lot of people that are ordering drugs from Canada now, and I don't blame them in a way, because the cost of drugs and any pharmaceutical is very, very expensive. Now, we have Medicare Part D, but it still doesn't cover everything. And so yeah, we've learned our lesson, and we need to wean ourselves off of China completely, not just with the drugs, but everything, because you can't trust them. They're trying to steal, our artificial intelligence. They're trying to steal the vaccine information, and they've proven that they're very bad actors. So you're absolutely right. And you're right about Haley, too. They do an outstanding job. They really do. I wish all the VAs in the country were as good as Haley. Sure, they're not perfect, but we hold them accountable. So I guess that's all I have to say. Yep. Thank you. Director Battle, I think, did a great job, but now he's leaving for Atlanta, unfortunately. But I think it's in good hands. Haley's in good hands.
Yeah, I agree with that. And Gus, I wanted to also mention the fact that we've got a couple of bills, and you may have co-sponsored these as well, but we've sponsored a bill on this specific topic. One is called the Strengthening America's Supply Chain and National Security Act. It's H.R. 6393. It actually directs the Department of Defense to determine the extent of dependency on foreign entities for drugs, and active pharmaceutical ingredients, pharmaceutical components, and to determine what kind of security risks we have as a nation, and to make recommendations on how we can make sure that we're not at risk. So that's one of the bills that we've sponsored. Another one is H.R. 6690. It's called the BEAT Act, and what it does is it proposes it incentivizes medical device and pharmaceutical companies to relocate from China to the United States of America. I didn't know this. I had no idea until this whole COVID-19 situation arose. But you talk about, I found this out, that 90% of the ingredients that go into generic antibiotic drugs are from China.
Yeah.
And that is crazy. The notion that we would be so reliant on our antibiotic drugs from a nation like China, who has interests adverse to ours. Trust me, they do. So you're exactly right. You're on point, Rick. We've got to do something, and I believe that we will. And I want to just tell you that I appreciate your service, and I'm sorry that you have had to go through some tough times here recently. All the best to you. God bless you, and I pray that you, for healing for you. Thank you for
God bless you. God bless you.
So a couple of housekeeping items here. The office number is 863-644-8215. Again, that number is 863-644-8215. Call tomorrow. The office is closed to do this call, but do call that number tomorrow if you need to get to the office. 863-644-8215. We had some requests for that. Secondly, if you want to get a question still in, press 0 on the keypad on your phone. And if you want to provide us your email address, please press 7 on the keypad on your phone, so we can keep you up to date on matters that are happening in Washington. Damon's next. Damon, welcome to the call. Damon, please go ahead with your question.
Hey, Representative Spano, wonderful and a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. If Mr. Bilirakis is still on the line, born and raised in South Tampa, Hillsborough County, resident all my life, lived in Brandon for about 10 years, and your name has always been synonymous with integrity, with caring, with loving compassion towards your constituents and everybody that you have to deal with on a daily basis, no matter how benign the situation or how malignant the situation. So it's a very big honor to talk with you, especially with you and Spano. It's like basically winning the lottery on a two-way street. So definitely want to throw that out. Question is for Representative Spano. You probably remember me from the concealed carry weapons permit thing, and I just want to. This is more of I can't follow with the veterans, even though I'm a veteran myself. But some of these past questions, very deep, very eloquent, very awesome, very incredible, but very realistic. My heart goes out to all of them. My prayers will always be with them under the red, white, and blue. And my question basically is not a question, it's actually a statement. For all of those that you've been listening to so far regarding Mr. Bilarakis and Mr. Spano, these are two gentlemen that deal with integrity. These two gentlemen deal with issues that people only see in the dark, but they don't get a clear view or picture of unless they stand way back. These guys are right in the thick of it. They're in the middle of it. They give up their time. As you heard Mr. Spano, Representative Spano is in Washington, D.C. He still has the time to go ahead and give his valuable time to people that live in a very small community but that have a very big heart. And I want to appreciate Mr. Spano today because when he followed up with my question several weeks ago, maybe almost a month ago, regarding how our Second Amendment rights were going to be protected. Not only did he get right on it, I got an email from him personally about 2 to 3 days later regarding my concerns in reference to the regional offices of our Agriculture and Consumer Services Board being closed and having to basically renew our concealed carry permits through the mail, which is, of course, a marathon, not a race. You can go into the regional office, walk out there with your new license in 45 minutes. It's an over and done deal. Don't have to go there for 7 years. But if you do it through the office, you could be looking upwards of 90 days. But he gave me great information. He was incredibly intuitive. And I think things got sped up just from the standpoint that I actually had someone from Tallahassee had mentioned that your office actually was connected to my call and that they had some type of a reference that you had called on my behalf. Now, I don't know if that's validated or not, but I'm just going by what they told me. So not only did I receive an email in an incredibly convenient amount of time, Representative Spano, at the same time, I think you might have got the cogs and the big machine going a little bit faster in lieu of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I just want everybody to know that, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I'm not puckering up to anybody. If Representative Spano were to ever have the ability or the desire to run for president, I guarantee you right now, I would go door to door, and I would go ahead.
Damon, please don't call my wife. Please don't tell my wife yet.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure your wife's probably not too thrilled about that perspective. But I'll tell you right now, though, you hold the ability and you hold the passion. And you definitely hold the responsibility and the loving and the caring and the kindness to lead a nation. So you just keep on doing what you're doing, and we all love you here in Florida, brother.
Well, Damon, man, I promise that till folks are listening, I did not pay Damon to call and say all those nice things, but when I hear a constituent say that our office and our staff has provided such great constituent care, it's music to my ears. I get so excited about it because it is so important to me. I think it's my most important job, and I know Congressman Bilarakis feels the same way. And Damon, you'll be happy, I think, to hear we just recently actually co-sponsored a bill that makes it that would make it easier for veterans to reapply for and renew their concealed carry permits when they move from base to base, different locations around the country. So I think that's a pretty neat bill we've co-sponsored on that. But Gus, I don't know if you have any comments on that. But
well, sir, thank you very much for what you said about both of us. We're up here for the right reasons. I think you know that. We're in D.C. As a matter of fact, I didn't agree with this, and I voted against it, but Speaker Pelosi wanted us to proxy vote. And I know Ross and I have been up here for every vote, and a lot of times if we can make it, we come up for committee meetings as well and not do them virtually, because you deserve it. Our constituents deserve it. We're getting paid, and some of these members are staying home when they could be up here working for their constituents. So, and I know Ross has come up every time, and I have as well, and we owe it to you. We owe it to our constituents. And as far as the constituent service, that's number one. And I'm really happy to hear. And I knew this because I hate my former constituents in Hillsborough County tell me that Ross is doing an outstanding job. And his staff is very good as well. And we owe that. That's what the Founding Fathers intended, for us to represent the people, come home as often as we possibly can, and we do every weekend, and we listen to our constituents. So thank you very much, sir. It's an honor to serve you. Particularly, it's an honor to serve all our veterans and all of our constituents. It's a privilege, and thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, it sure is. Kurt, you want to take another question? Oh, okay. So I guess my bad. We're gonna
hold on. I had myself muted. I'm back. I didn't take myself off mute. Sorry about that.
Right.
That was my fault.
No worries.
Adrian's next. Adrian from Lakeland had a question that came in earlier. Mr. Spano, thank you for working with President Trump to hold China accountable for this virus. What is being done to actually make sure this happens?
Yeah, great question, Adrian. And Gus, I'll start off on this if it's okay.
Please.
Offer as well. But this is obviously an important question. We touched on it a little bit earlier in the call with regard to medications and being independent with regard to supply chains for medicines. But there is no doubt that I think China has to be held responsible for what they knew, for what they hid. I think this, along with the World Health Organization, that it appears to us at this point did cover up some facts about what was happening. And I continue to work with the president. I think we have to hold China accountable. I recently introduced actually a bill. It's called the Holding China Accountable Act with Representative Devin Nunes, actually to combat China's theft of our intellectual property. And Congressman Bilarakis mentioned that just a moment ago. That affects our economy. It affects our ingenuity. It affects small businesses. So I agree with you. We've got to hold China accountable, and we got to find out what they knew, when they knew it, and that we've also co-sponsored legislation that would give the president direction and authority to begin taking steps to find out how we begin to recoup potentially some of the financial losses that we've incurred as a result of China's actions. So, Congressman Bilarakis, your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, and the president really is the first president. He says it, and it's true, to stand up to China, put the tariffs on China. It's a big problem. I sponsor, actually we're going to get ready to file a bill that I filed many years ago when I first got to Congress, removing China from the Security Council at the UN as a permanent member of the Security Council. The violations, the human rights violations, the discrimination, there's no religious freedom there. They're just bad actors, and we can't depend on them, and they cheat any way they can. And we have to wake up, folks, not just for this COVID-19 disaster that came from there, but for the future. We've got to know who our allies are. And China and Russia certainly aren't. Iran, I can include Iran in there too.
Yeah, here. All right. Hey, Kurt, let's take another question.
We're going to take one more question. Yes, sir. At least one more question. David, welcome to the call. David, please go ahead with your question.
Yes, my name is David Badillo. I'm calling in regards to the VA. I'm 60% disabled, and they just gave me 20% for asbestos. I got diabetes. I inject myself 5 times a day. I take metformin, and they said they granted me 20%, which I think is wrong. I think it should have been 40 according to what they said. But anyway, they gave me 20%. But now when they calculated into my 60%, they're telling me I still only have 60%. So they really didn't give me anything. You know, if I would have been just for diabetes that I put in for at the beginning, I would have gotten the 20%. But now because I have 60, they're telling me, no, you're staying with 60. And I don't care what country you come from. 60 and 20 equals 80. You know, this is worse than the Common Core. I just don't get it.
Congressman, your thoughts?
Yeah, so David, my first... I would say, go ahead, Congressman.
No. Go ahead, Ross. I didn't realize you were going to comment first. But I'll be happy to go after you.
No, I was just going to say, I think you probably have more knowledge than I do on this issue, so I'm going to ask you to comment for your substantive response. But I want to first say to David, if you'll call my office tomorrow morning, I'll give you that number again. It's 863-644-8215. Let us open a file on this and see what we can do to help you, okay? Congressman Bilarakis, your thoughts?
Yeah, David, it sounds like they did you wrong. But, you know, we need to have all the facts so that we can advocate, so that Ross can advocate, and if he needs my assistance, I'd be happy to. We have some good caseworkers that specifically focus on veterans. But, yeah, it doesn't sound right. David, and thank you for your service as well. I know that COVID-19 has slowed up the process with regard to the disability, and you know, they're not seeing people personally. Now, but I will tell you this, and I know Ross's staff knows this, and Ross knows this, if there's a particular case where you need to be seen, and you can't, and it's not going to be done well enough, because virtual is good for some things, but not everything. We can advocate on your behalf. I know that Haley is almost shut down, with the exception of a few departments. But again, you know, we intended for there to be care in the community. So, and there are a lot of physicians that are practicing now and seeing patients one-on-one, face-to-face. So, again, contact Ross's office, and I know they'll be able to, at least they'll attempt to assist you. And but I appreciate your service, sir. One thing I wanted to say, Ross, real quick, we had a victory this week, and I believe you are a co-sponsor on this bill. It had to do with adapted housing for severely wounded veterans. And, you know, they have to readjust when they purchase a home. It's very expensive, and they have certain needs. Quality of life issue. Well, we increased the amount in this bill. It passed the House and the Senate, and then a little minor change in the Senate, so it bounced back to the House, and we passed it this week. It's my bill, and it's headed to the President. And it increases the amount, close to $100,000 for wounded warriors, severely wounded warriors, so that they can adapt their homes. But they should also have an opportunity to use that in the future, an additional approximately $100,000 if they decide to move, if their families grow. Ryan Cools, who's a hero, actually brought this to me, and the best ideas come from the people. He brought this idea to me to increase the amount and the amount of persons also that qualify for this benefit. And we got it done, and I'm happy we got it done. We worked with the Wounded Warrior Project on this bill. Awesome. So things are getting done in D.C., but, you know, they're not high profile, but they mean so very much to our constituents. We also got a lot of stuff in the NDAA with regard to the burn pits issue. So we're going to take care of our veterans who are exposed to these toxic illnesses, and we'll continue to work on that. That's the Agent Orange of our era. So, in any case, Ross, I'm sorry I talked too long, but I wanted to make
sure.
I
love it. No, I appreciate it, and congratulations on the passage of that bill. That's exciting. We were able to get a couple of things we were working on in the NDAA bill as well. The Boots to Business bill, which gives training to members of the military that are exiting to private life to help them start and grow a small business. We've kind of been excited about getting that done. So we got that one done, and a couple of other things related to veteran contracts through the Small Business Administration to ensure that these businesses that are getting these contracts are actually owned by veterans.
That's important. That's very important.
Yeah. So
very important.
So
veterans
excited
are being,
about that.
Yeah, because a lot of times the veteran is being taken advantage of, and that. Thank you for doing that, Ross. That's so important.
Well, you're welcome. Well, I tell you what, I am grateful for you. I know you've got to jump off the call here in a couple of minutes, but for those of you who maybe just got on, I just wanted to tell you we've had the pleasure of having Congressman Gus Bilirakis on the call with us tonight. He has been a hero to veterans in the U.S. House for 14 years. He's been in the House since 2006, and I'm telling you, if you're a veteran, you really owe a lot to this gentleman. And so, Gus, thank you for your service here in the Capitol, and thank you for everything you've done for veterans. I just want to give you a minute or so, or as long as you want, really, to just close. But I want to tell you thank you again for being with me. I'm grateful for you.
Oh, thank you. And I'm not going to take long, Ross. I just want to let you know how much we appreciate you here in the House. And folks, I want you to also know, even though we're in the minority, we're working hard every day and building relationships on the other side of the aisle. Now, the people that we work with, we're not going to work with unreasonable people. So the squad or some of these so-called, they really are socialists in their thinking. But there are a lot of moderate Democrats that we can work with to get things done. And again, they're not high profile. You don't read about them in the newspaper, but they're very important to you. And I just want to thank the folks in Hillsborough County. I know we have some other counties on the line too, but thank them for giving me the honor of serving them many years ago. And I know that you're in good hands with Ross. So good night, and God bless you. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gus. We appreciate you. Have a great evening. And stay on the call with us. We're going to continue to take a few more questions. So, Kurt, let's have the next one.
Well, the next one, we're actually going to do a quick poll, and it goes like this. Let me just line this up if I can. The question goes like this. Do you agree with Representative Spano that China must be held accountable for COVID-19? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, and 3, you're unsure. Again, the question, do you agree with Representative Spano that China must be held accountable for COVID-19? Press 1 for yes, 2 for no, 3, you're unsure. Thank you so much for voting. While you're voting, we're going to take another question. It's going to be from Ricardo. Ricardo, welcome to the call. Ricardo, go ahead with your question, if you would, please.
Yes, good evening. My name is First Class Retired Army Special Operations Ricardo Garcia. I happen to be a resident in Florida in 1986 when I was assigned to Mateo. Now, I just want to give you the first-hand thank you, Mr. Spano, to keep in touch with us because you never fail. You always keep us in the top of the line. That means we keep us informed. That means when I was in the military and I got commanders who keep informed the soldiers, we accomplish the mission. And that's what you do to us. You're giving to us the inspiration to be able to speak out, and you can take our word where you are. Okay, that's a good part of it. Now, I can give you the reason that my phone call is so simple. We know that it's a big, difficult situation to get in contact with James Haley Hospital. They're in the drawdown, and they have minimum staff. Now, there are too many teams in there, from Alpha, Charlie, Bravo, you name it. Now, personally, it took me 2 weeks ago to go in person to the annex in Fletcher Avenue to ask a nurse to leave a message to my Charlie team PCM, primary care manager. Now, why is that? I was 3 days, more than 3 phone calls, and the smallest time that I was in waiting was 22 minutes. Now, my situation was not difficult to be solved. Now, what happened to the other veterans that they do have certain medical conditions mentally? At some time, they're going to wait on that because all what you get in the recording system says, if you got saw or thinking to harm yourself, please call this number.
Yeah. Congressman, your thoughts?
Yeah, so Ricardo, I would say a couple of things. Number one, thank you for your service. I'm grateful for it. I'm glad that you're a constituent, and thank you for the kind words about keeping you informed. It's our desire to make sure that you know exactly what's going on, and that's encouraging. It's another encouraging word, so thank you for saying that. It is unsettling to me, however, to hear that that you're having trouble getting through to the VA. And what you say about it being a real problem for a veteran who's going through some issues that needs immediate attention, that's very concerning to me. So I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I know that because of the COVID-19 situation that things are a little bit kind of out of the ordinary in terms of their administration and processes and so forth, but there has to be a way to continue to provide the level of service to veterans that's going to be appropriate. And so what I would like to do is, if you could do me a favor, and if you have this situation again, or even if you still feel like you need assistance with this matter, please call my office, 863-644-8215, and we will, on your behalf, we will get to the bottom of why it is taking so long. But frankly, we're going to make a call to VA tomorrow and tell them we had a town hall tonight. We had some constituents that expressed concern about not being able to get through promptly. There's no excuse for that. And so I promise you that we will get on to that tomorrow, and hopefully that will improve. And if there's any other veterans out there that have had a similar experience or similar situation happen to you, I want to hear about it, because that's the only way that I can act actively on your behalf, try and help with these kinds of situations. So, Ricardo, thank you for your call. Thank you for your comment and your input, and we appreciate your service once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Congressman. A question from Derek came in earlier today. I'm concerned about our economy and heard about your Great American Comeback Plan. How will this help our district?
Well, thank you, Derek, for the question. I appreciate it very much. We released what we called the Great American Comeback Plan back in April. We've been actively working nonstop. Our staff has been to implement and trying to work with the administration and other members in Congress, both legislatively, administratively, to move this forward. But it has basically 4 main pillars. One of those pillars is getting the economy back on track. And we have a number of different initiatives that we've worked on in order to make that happen. One of those things is a payroll tax holiday that you probably heard about in the press. I think that would be a way to provide immediate liquidity into the pockets of the American people, and also into small businesses to expand and grow and hire people, and some other things as well. The second pillar is oversight into these recovery programs. We actually had a committee meeting this morning on the committee that I am the ranking member on, where we talked with the Small Business Administration about that, making sure that the PPP programs and so forth that have been stood up are actively working as they're intended. The third pillar of the program is to combat reliance on other nations like China. We talked at length about that a little bit earlier, about ways to bring manufacturing home, ensure that we're manufacturing critical commodities, drugs and so forth here in the United States, that we're not relying on these nations. And then the fourth long-term priority is reducing our national debt. We've been in unprecedented times over these last few months, and we've spent a lot of money, frankly, that we don't have. But the balance of our budget continues to be a concern for me, and I believe we're spending money that we don't have, that our children and grandchildren are going to have to pay. So that's the fourth part of the Economic Comeback Plan. There's more on the website in detail. If you have any interest on it, you can go to spano.house.gov, click on coronavirus, and then go down to the economic recovery plan, you get more information on that. But anyway, there's a lot of economic uncertainty out there, but my priority continues to be the safety and well-being of our community. And so I led on PPP. It's now saved over 50 million American jobs. I led on replenishing that fund when it was exhausted. And I just might add here very quickly on the economic part of this, that program actually helped over 6,900 small businesses in Florida's 15th congressional district. And it saved over 68,000 jobs. That is a big deal. These are jobs that provide for families right here in our community. So I appreciate your question. We're going to continue to work aggressively on that comeback plan and make sure people can continue to get back to work.
Edwina is next. Edwina, welcome to the call. Edwina, please go ahead.
Yes. Yes, my name is Edwina Fields, and I am not a veteran, but my father, my brother, and my sister, they all served.
Awesome.
I happen to be a retired CSX railroad worker for 35 years. And as I was speaking to the person that interviewed me, I told I had two quick questions. I am a widow now, and with my retirement, they took a large portion of my retirement when my husband passed, and it made a drastically in my reduction in my income. And I am 73 years old and going back to work because of this. It's terrible. Now, when I go and I speak at conferences, I hear more and more about other women. So I did meet a woman there that worked in Congresswoman Kathy Castor's office, and I wrote her, and then I responded from her, and she took it up to Washington. And then the representative before you, I spoke to them, but they did nothing, just gave me a Dear John letter. But something has to be done. Something has to be done.
Yeah. I'm sorry I interrupted you. Go ahead.
It's just awful. Now I found out about other women, and so I have a home that my husband and I had, and of course the little money that he left. Well, it's all gone because you have to live out of that. Plus, $1,200 of my pension is gone. So you say, well, what do? But you try to go to work.
Congressman, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, Edwina, I'm so glad that you called in. Thank you for being on the town hall tonight. And I'm grateful for the service of your family members. And I'm sorry that your husband has passed. And I'm incredibly sorry that you're having to go back to work now. These should be, years when you can, enjoy your retirement. And the last thing you should be thinking about is how you're going to pay for your drugs, and things that you need. What we have, unfortunately, here in the United States is a situation where, to be very frank with you, we have pharmaceutical companies that are now also involved with pharmacy management companies. And so they're the ones that actually make decisions about what drugs get sold for. They work directly with the insurance companies, and they have, in my humble opinion, too much power over drug prices. And so I have actually been working with a group of independent pharmacists in my district, in my area, to try and wrestle some of the control about these pharmacy management companies away from them. There was a bill that was passed, kind of going into probably too much detail here, but a bill that was passed several years ago that allowed these pharmacy management companies to have too much power. So anyways, we're going to continue to work on that, work with independent pharmacies to create more competition within that setting so that we bring drug prices down. And I think we've also done some things earlier in the year to try and encourage generic drugs to get on the market sooner. And I think that would drive drug prices down. So I appreciate your situation, and we're going to continue to work to do whatever we possibly can and to make sure that we provide a scenario where drug prices are such that people can afford them. Certainly people on fixed incomes like you, like my mom. My mom is in a very similar position to you. She's on a fixed income. My father died several years ago, and she's got to be in a position where she can afford her drugs. So thank you for calling in. I appreciate it so much.
Let's take one more question, and with this question, bring us to the finish line after that, if you would, please, Congressman. I want to remind people to stay to the end of the call if they want to leave us a message with contact information like email, phone number, name, of course, anyway, so we can get back to you, whether you press 0 or not. Our last question is Angela. Angela, welcome to our call. Angela, please go ahead with your question.
Yes. I want to say that I was listening to you all saying that the president has done a great job with the coronavirus, and I just don't understand how you can say that. I really try not to listen to him very often, but every time I hear him, he's telling a different story. And you have the president and Governor DeSantis saying the kids need to go back to school. Yet and still you're saying you should let prisoners out of jail because it's not safe in there. And you have all the doctors basically saying it's not safe. And how do you teach young kids to social distance and wear masks and wash their hands properly? You know, that's illogical, and I just don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, Angela, thank you for being on the call tonight. I'm grateful that you called in, and thank you for your question. I understand where you're coming from. We talked about it earlier about the president, what he's done with coronavirus. You know, as I said earlier, I think I think the facts are what they are. The president has provided strong leadership as far as making sure that people didn't come into the country that exposed us. The president's provided strong leadership as it relates to making sure we have had PPE, making sure that we've got vaccines on the market quickly, making sure that that we have things that we need in our hospitals around the country and so forth. So again, could any of us done a better job? I don't know. It's easy to Monday morning quarterback, but I think all in all, the president has done a fine job. So we're going to continue to provide him in Congress the support that he needs. I think it's important that we kind of come together and try and solve this problem together. It's not necessarily a good idea to be pointing fingers at anybody at this point. We need to be locking arms and moving forward to figure out how to get our country back on track, how to figure out how to rebuild the economy, how to figure out how to protect our kids as they go back to school. But I do appreciate your question, and I'm so grateful that you were on the call tonight.
And Congressman, bring us to the finish line, if you would, please.
Well, Kurt, thank you so much. Again, thank you everybody that has been on the call tonight. I am so grateful for the opportunity to spend some time with you. Every opportunity we get. Thank you for spending your evening with me. I want to remind you, if you have issues or questions or concerns or you need assistance, please reach out to my office. We're here to help you. I'll give you the number one more time. It's 863-644-8215, or you can go to our website at spano.house.gov, and there's a ton of information on there that I think is helpful for you. I continue to be incredibly honored and humbled to serve you, and it's my job to make sure that I provide the best level of service to you that I possibly can. And I don't care what party you are. I don't care whether you voted for me or not. I'm going to provide the best representation I can possibly provide to you and the best level of service regardless. So I'm humbled to continue to do that. Thank you for spending the evening with me. I want you all to have a great night, and God bless you, and God bless your families, and we'll hope to talk again soon. Take care.
Thank you so much.